And as Stan and Fran became snowbirds in the last couple of decades, they made a point of going to Florida and other warm places in the winters. They developed a whole other set of friends and a whole new community that was just every bit a part of their lives as the one up here in New England. And I think John Bray can give us a little insight into that.
Thank you. It's an honor for me to be here to speak. I realize that you all have lived with Stan all his life. I've only known him, unfortunately, for the last 15 years, and they're 15 of the best years I've ever had. Particularly down in Florida, we developed a circle of friends, and among them were my wife, myself, my cousin Sally, and Fran and Stan, and we did all kinds of things. Now, I'm not going to read anything to you here because Stan did not approve of reading, although I'm sure he forgives Michael and the other speaker because he cared very much about them. I only heard good things about all the people in Stan's life. Stan felt that he was particularly fortunate. And of course, you've heard his background, and you heard that he came from a wonderful background. But there's much more, of course, to it than we could hear. But he benefited from all of that. And then he also, I must say, he was able to take the benefits that he received and make the most of them. He was had an amazing career. I just love to listen to him explain. Up until about the age 30, he didn't really have a job. The family was trying to find something for him to do. And what I'm really talking about here is what I learned from Stan, because on occasion Stan would tell me that people didn't really listen to what he had to say. And I would say, well, I certainly have learned from you, and I know the rest of you have learned from him. It's very obvious from what you said today. But when he started off, one thing he taught me is when we start off in life, they finally got him to take a job in a hardware store. And he's told you all, most of you probably have heard this story. But he didn't do very well in the hardware store, and they fired him. And he was disappointed, but then it occurred to him, I don't want to be a hardware clerk for the rest of my life. And then what was a threat became an opportunity, because then he went into accounting, and he loved numbers. And he found these wonderful friends who agreed to go into business with him, and with the help of his family, he was able to go in business and go into the building industry. And then, at the age of 45, came time for a very critical decision that might threaten the future of their business, and all three of the partners who got along beautifully, which is very unusual, I think, from what I've heard. But I can understand any organization that Stan was a part of, I would imagine they would tend to get along well together. But the two other partners said, look, we can't agree, but we trust Stan, so let's go along with Stan's idea. Well, Stan found that very threatening, because the decision could have been the end of the business. So he decided at that point, I've had enough, no more 24/7. I'm going to be home at night, I'm not going to run meetings all alone. I'm not going to continue to maintain relationships which are unpleasant. He said, and I'm going to retire. At age 45, I have enough money, I'm going to work 2 days a week. This is very unusual. I mean, how many people, even if you were given the opportunity, would make a decision like this? I found the man very remarkable. And he said, since his ego was getting out of control with him, since everybody was looking to him for answers, he decided that he would become a librarian. Because librarians obviously are not people concerned about ego. And he turned around and he wrote a book. And then he's got a couple other books that have been working. He wrote a book on how to start a small business, how to maintain a small business. And also he was working on a book on general history of libraries. The man was amazing. And when I met him, I was just incredibly impressed with the whole story. Not only with the experiences of his childhood, which were really rich and very valuable and interesting, fascinating to hear, but also with him as a person and his wisdom. What I learned from Stan, first of all, things are much more complicated than you think. So if you ever try to explain something, he's going to tell you, well, it's more complicated than that. Second things, there are always such things called unintended consequences. So you have to be very, very careful about what you say. And then the final point is, the more you think you know, the stronger you feel about it, you better question yourself, because you never know for sure if you're right. And then finally, he said, be cheerful. And I love that more than anything else.
Yay.